this is your boy, Mr. Political. On this inauguration day, we are all glad, black and white alike in America. But the critical question, in the midst of the storm of 200 executive orders that will be signed in less than 24 hours, will he imagine the trials and tribulations that he has found himself? The mugshot which was spread through CNN and MSN and all those food-laid channels. The question is he going to be the hypocrite that he called them? Is he going to evolve into the hypocrite and not address the issue of sovereign immunity? Immunity for law enforcement since the 1880s have always used this as justification. The same immunity which is used by law enforcement when indictments are trying to be put in against law enforcement. Is he going to use the RICO Act to investigate the loyal fraternity of law enforcement and its lawyers and union entities? This is a real question that America wants to know. And as he signed an additional order, an executive order, yes, the same executive order that Obama, Biden, and several other presidents have used to abuse and to gain control of issues that they do not want to address, that they do not want to investigate. Is he going to be a real president, or is he just going to be the citric orange that he is? Now, I voted for him. And now, as he says that every American has accessibility to the White House, I call upon him as I stand in his glory. Is he going to free the American people from the terrorists, the red coat in blue? Yes, it's such a thing, a red coat in blue. We have not seen this in over 242 years in this country. The red coat in blue, who violates civil rights, the red coat in blue, who does not believe that the Constitution protects each and every person, the red coat in blue, who plants evidence, who deals drugs, who molests children, who attacks the handicapped and the elderly, and murder old ladies in their home and force through their doors. Will he address that issue? Or is he going to enable them to be the new Klan? This is your boy, Mr. Political. As we do this, as we speak out in our First Amendment rights, as we bring tension to those who are supposed to be loyal and those who are supposed to serve and protect, the real question is, will Mr. Trump, a.k.a. known as President Trump, sign an executive order for Pam Bundy to address the issue of the loyal fraternity of law enforcement and its entity and union who run night rider behavior throughout the land? The question is, and always have been, and has not been removed from conscious conversations in America for the last 20 years since the encroachment of the lobbyists for the loyal fraternity of law enforcement and its entity and union, as these individuals are being paid to kill American citizens, to violate the First, the Fourth, the Fifth. Is he going to address that? He claimed, and I believe him. So does that make me a fool because I believe him, that there are corrupt judges, there are corrupt prosecutors, and that these corrupt judges and corrupt prosecutors, they make their bones by getting endorsements from the loyal fraternity of law enforcement and its unions and its entities? These bribes are open every day. These corrupt judges, these corrupt prosecutors seek endorsement from this union, just as Hitler seeked endorsement from the same union. This is real, America. This is not a fantasy. See, where I come from in the real world, as a former military person who took the same oath that he took, that it's not unimaginable to believe that these individuals, over this period of time, which we view each and every day at 6 o'clock, at 5 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, it all depends on what time. I guess that's why he want to change daylight saving time, so we can all be in sync, so that lives can all be on the same page. America, this is not a joke. Your sons and daughters are being terrorized by the boy in blue, who are the second cousin of the redcoat, who tried to keep you from having a nation. Now they have unionized. They are committing crimes and murders on back roads that they are not investigating those heroes. See, heroes don't need immunity. So stop calling them heroes. Stop viewing them as heroes. Keep them away from your children. We have law enforcement officers who have violated human dignity by molesting children. These are law enforcement officers who are molesting children, who are attacking old ladies, who are beating up old men. This is not your lying eye. And if there is going to be a change, if there's going to be 200 executive orders signed in America today, can one of those executive orders be to start investigating the law fraternity of law enforcement under the RICO Act? You use it for everything from toilet paper to bubble gum. So why is it unimaginable that an American president who says that he wants to make America great again, and I have no beef with Trump, I just have a great disappointment in Trump. And that's sad, because if he do not ask for a call to protect the American people, then he is no different than Hitler. He ignores the terrorists under his nose. The only reason he ignores the terrorists under his nose is in some states they wear blue. In California, they wear the shirt of the Nazi, the brown shirt, which terrorized the people. That if you do not give them, or you do not accept the mark of beast, because most police officers will tell you they do not believe in the Constitution. So why are they allowed to occupy the suburbs? I'm going to start with the suburbs. I'm not going to go to the ghetto. We're accustomed to an occupied force. We're accustomed to them assassinating individuals who want to protect your civil liberties. We're accustomed to them planning evidence. We're accustomed to them fabricating laws. We're accustomed to them not wanting to be filmed when they're breaking the law, and that they give out terrorist threats. This is not your lying eye. And if you're still in 2025, as we look toward having another president who will sit and sign 200 executive orders, can you look in that pile and see if he's going to sign an executive order to investigate this union? Pam Bundy, can you be as great of a attorney, the highest attorney in America? Will you reach out there like Robert Kennedy and go after the Longshoremen's Union? Because that's what Robert Kennedy went after. But this time, it's not the Longshoremen's Union that is doing heinous, corrupt things. It is the loyal fraternity of law enforcement and its union and its subsidiaries who does not even wear on their uniform the American flag. Do not be so naive as the Jews were in Germany. Do not believe that these people are your heroes because you program and you're being extorted by this union, that if you do not support them, if you do not consider them as heroes, if you do not bow to them, that they will terrorize you. Or is it just a color thing? And I know others may go and say, well, Mr. Political, you're wrong to turn it into a color thing. But it's very hard for our young people not to see it as a color thing when you see white police officers doing wrong and black police officers licking their boots as they are being held by chains around their necks in the slave manner which they have always been. Now, he is going to sign an executive order to trace the same illegal aliens that they let in this country. But he will not hold the Homeland Security czar responsible. And he admitted that he lied. He admitted that it was calculated by Joe Biden to do this for those businessmen. Now you want to throw them out the country. Now you want to arrest them like they do in Missouri. You want to bring back the slave patrol, and you want to give American citizens $1,000 for turning in these illegal aliens, which you let in. You don't want to be held responsible to go look for the individuals which you enabled to break the law. You have individuals who show up in our courts and give it more rights as a defendant than citizens. That means that they will get due process, that they will get bail, that they will be moved into the Department of Corrections, and they will be treated better than that man who was taken out of his cell at night by those correction officers, and they muted their cameras purposely. But they say it was a safeguard and that they caught them on film, but they didn't have audio. But you don't need audio when the people that you're going to attack don't speak English. And the vast majority of the Americans in this country only speak English. You can't see the setup. You can't see what's going on. And because you exercise your right as a white citizen, and you exercise your right to assimilation as an Afro-American, that you are immune from any executive order that he will sign to pursue you in the same manner. America cannot be great again until they address the issue of immunity for the union. It's not immunity for police officers. It has nothing to do with police officers. The immunity is to ensure that these individuals who commit these heinous crimes under the letter of the law and wear the badge, that they don't say that their union, the Nazi organization which they belong to, the second cousin of the Ku Klux Klan, and the third brother of the Black Hand. And for those who do not understand what the Black Hand is, it was an organization which was brought to this country when the migrants came here to extort, kidnap, and abuse their people. In the shadows, And that's what this union does. They do heinous things to America. So when the Highway Patrol and those organizations call your home and ask for your nickels and dimes to oppress the American people, when you sit and you say, well, why did they have to kill him? We understand that he shot a police officer, but then they gathered around together in their four-legged horse, a car, which you pay for, and they chase a person down as an animal. That did you ever imagine? Maybe that officer wasn't a hero. You didn't have two presidents to see that all police officers are not heroes. And those you consider as heroes close a blind eye to the devil and evil police officers. That they belong to this organization, this satanic organization, which has a satanic sign, a devil-worshiping sign as their emblem. That is the emblem of the law, the loyal fraternity, as hear me carefully, the loyal, because they're loyal to that union and not to the American people. They're loyal to the heinous acts that union, that they went in a satanic worship type of manner, gave blood and some aborted bodies so they can be vested in, just as demonic creatures do. That they worship this symbol, which is a demonic symbol. You can look it up, Google it, and you look at it, and you will see that that symbol is based in the devil. That their union is propagated on demonic principles. That they have said on film, law enforcement officers throughout the land, I do not serve the Constitution. I do not respect the Constitution. I do not see the Constitution as a legitimate document which governs all of us and protects all of us. That their union and their lawyers and the endorsements and campaign contributions that they give to prosecutors and judges who sit on the bench. It has already been shown in one municipality where a judge and the chief of police were having a homosexual relationship with each other and then were forcing citizens to commit sexual acts so they can make some money. I can't make this up. And you cannot be woke enough that you cannot see these heinous demonic creatures for who they are. And if you're still believing that they're heroes, then you must be white and you must be a worshiper of the devil. Because even the low-class white person can see who these people really are. That's why they go to this demonic union and they use their position within the demonic union. They're lawyers, they're shop stewards. It was admitted in a Senate hearing who were investigating noticed these things, but they tried to ignore it. And you say, and I say, support President Trump only if he's living in reality other than his mugshot, because his mugshot is justification for him to sign an order to remove their qualified immunity. Heroes don't need qualified immunity. Heroes don't do things that are wrong. And you cannot use the justification that they're human beings and they have flaws. That's even more justification to hold them accountable for the heinous things that they are doing to the American people. That's more justification for holding them accountable for the terrorist acts that they have committed over the last 20 years. No different than their brethren. They traded their horses for cars. They have empowered and got health insurance for their dogs who are shot in the line of duty. The same dogs that they use to terrorize black people for trying to accept their rights. Law enforcement has a place in America, but not a place of terrorists against their citizens. That was never the reason why law enforcement was created. There were multiple reasons, and one of the prime examples of negativity is North Carolina's belief that they got heroes in their history. North Carolina is one of the most racist states and one of the most progressive states of black Americans. Oh, excuse me, they Afro-Americans in North Carolina, because see, they yearn for the day of slavery to come back so their black people can feel comfortable with stroking the hair of Becky while in uniform, helping her as she is held accountable for her wrongdoing. See, that's when you have black people, Afro-Americans who wear the badge. Because, see, a black officer, and be correct, the first black officer in America was in New York City, where they have the most violations of civil rights. The only thing is when they raise their hand, they make sure they take the shackle off of their neck that they slave patrol supervisor held or hold by the chain as they treat them as the dogs that they are. Each and every time you see a black police officer, lower your head in shame, because it's sad when you are so confused, that you are so corrupt. And unfortunately, there are more corrupt Afro-American police officers than there are corrupt white police officers. That's why they allow them on the force. See, only in America where a police officer will take your hard-earned taxpayer dollars to buy him some punani to the tune of almost $250,000. I've never in my life, and I am a former sailor, have paid that much for some punani. And any sailor that say he ain't paid for it, he ain't got caught. And he can't be honest to himself, because every man pay for it one way or another, out of putting the money in her hand, paying her light bill, buying her some hair, buying her some shoes, even buying a crumb of bread for those children. She don't know who the father is. Because when they ask you, my children need this, my children need that, that's code for she don't know who the father of her children are. Okay, because any woman who asks you to take care of their children, buy something for their children to see her, that means she don't know who the father of her children are. That's code for that. That's her way of getting around that. But we're going to get back on point. And the point is that today there will be 200 executive orders signed in this country that, if you can imagine, if he is cleaning the swamp, if he's draining the swamp, he would sign an executive order to suspend immunity for law enforcement into their union is investigated for terrorizing the American people. I'm a union man, and I am disgusted by the police union. My family are proud union members. From airspace to the docks of San Francisco, we have been proud to be union members. But when your electrician, those who belong to the hospitality industry, those who belong to the longshoreman industry, those who belong to the Iron Workers of America and the Teamster unions, those who belong in healthcare who belong to union, even, God forbid, those who work at Amazon who can't even speak English belong to a union, but you support a heinous union like the Law Fraternity of Law Enforcement and its entities, and you know they do not stand for America, that union is to give them legal representation while they violate your rights, knowing that they have immunity. Why do heroes need immunity against liability and murder and rape and drug trafficking? Why do the police need a union? They have immunity. This same union who use lobbyists to go and threaten judges that if I don't endorse you, then you won't be elected. This same union who threatens prosecutors that if you want to move up the food chain, we must have, or you need my endorsement so you can go and administrate the law of the land that is supposed to be free of any bias, free of any influence. They make a mockery out of our justice system. They laugh on film. They say disgusting things. They threaten your family. This is what the police union is sanctioning. American people, wake up. Do not follow the trail of tears that brought Germany to the doorstep of Hitler. Mr. Trump is not Hitler. But as long as this union exists, that we're going down the same path, that they are seeking protection while they terrorize the American people. It is unimaginable that any person who lives in this country cannot see what is going on, that they cannot see that this union stands for the Nazi Party, that your support of this union, you allowing this union to exist. It is no need for police officers to have a union. And the threat, if they don't have a union, that if you don't allow them to have this immunity, that they won't protect you from the bad guys. I got bad news for you. They the bad guys. They doing as much heinous crime as any illegal alien. They're doing as many heinous crimes as that thug on the street. They're selling as much drugs. At the beginning of 2024, it was reported that the largest trafficker of fentanyl in America was a union rep who had contact with union reps throughout the United States, was a police officer. That this police officer was working with other union reps to move fentanyl throughout our country. And the union went to represent that person. The union said because they took their union dues, a bribe, money, that they were obligated to protect them. When they went in a jail which was supposed to protect the individual based upon a judge conviction and order, and took him out in the middle of the night and beat him to death. And still to this day, they are not facing charges. And just because they removed themselves from the scene, just because they felt some kind of pressure from the American people that they quit their jobs, and retaliation came. Less than 24 hours ago, a Department of Correctional woman was raped and brutalized. I'm not saying that she did some harm to some individuals. I'm not saying because of her association with those thugs in their union that she was raped. I am not saying that because she was sexually assaulted, it was just the chickens come home to roost, because that's what law enforcement, and we have seen cases in 2024 where the most heinous officer raped several women while in uniform in the back of his car with knowledge of his supervisor. If Malcolm X was here today, God bless the dead, his only response and your only response as a conscious American is to view it as the chickens come home to roost. That there will be a day that all law enforcement will reap what they sow, and the chicken will come home to roost when America do not see you as a hero anymore. So I urge President Trump, the Honorable President Trump, two-time winner, who wants to make America great again, to sign an executive order to allow Miss Bundy to investigate this union, this heinous gangster union. But she won't, because she took money from them. She took endorsement from them. So she will look, wink, wink, blink the eye the other way. And she will not suggest to the president, based upon information that she has, based upon data and reports that she has, that it is time to investigate the loyal fraternity of law enforcement and its union and subsidiaries and those who tag along with these heinous behaviors of those individuals who are not American. We send troops overseas to kill people who are not Americans, who threaten America. Hear what I say. We send troops overseas. We have troops in foreign lands that are willing to kill anyone who threatens the American way, who threatens American children, who accost American old people and rape our women and pillage our property. Our sons and daughters have sworn to protect the American people. Where is our military to address the heinous behavior of law enforcement? Because your job is to erase those who threaten the American people. Your existence is to protect us from terrorists, may they be foreign or domestic. This is true, good people. This is the American way. As a child in America, growing up in a turbulent time, I could always rely on those who swore to protect the American people, who wear our uniforms proudly to protect us from these terrorist organizations, the loyal fraternity of law enforcement and its entities. Where are the American military when it comes to those who terrorize the American people? the oath which you took. Listen to the words, foreign and domestic, who threatens the lives of the American people, who hold their safety as part of union dues. This heinous organization must be removed. That this great president which we put into this office must address this issue. As he addressed the issue of the ultimate threat of immigrants who are coming in this country illegally, how about you address those who have immunity, who are terrorizing the American people? On your inauguration day, I ask you this. As I look at your mugshot and I hear the words that you say out of your mouth, or is you just talking out the side of your mouth? Or as the American Indian says, you're speaking with a forked tongue. Or you, the president that we are ashamed of, that enable individuals to terrorize American citizens. These are not heroes, America. These individuals do not stand for right and do not protect the laws of this country. That this heinous union, which should be disbanded because you have immunity, you do not need a union because you are not living in that deep of a hazard workplace, that you're not terrorizing the American people. That's what I said, that your work environment is not that heinous that you feel that you have the right to terrorize the American people and call them people. Yes, black, white, Oriental, second generation, third generation Hispanic, first, second generation European, ultimate generation American Indian, that those individuals who belong to this heinous union are not working in that terrible of a work environment, that they need to terrorize the American people and deny the Constitution and to violate people's civil rights. Because if you do not do this, Mr. Trump, a.k.a. the American president, then you are no better than those heinous creatures who terrorize and rape our daughters. And since we live in Biden's world, then they will rape your daughters and your sons because they are above the law, that they belong to this heinous union, that we did not keep our eyes open and we did not open our mouths to that red coat who wear blue. This is your boy, Mr. Political, on this inauguration day, which I voted for, and I voted for him. Mr. Trump, a.k.a. Mr. President, do not disappoint me. Do not make me feel like the American Indian and allow yourself to speak with a forked tongue. Be better than the last dripping of Mr. Charlie's right nut, who was sprung on Jello and do not and cannot recognize his wife from his sister-in-law. And to this day, he still talks to the Easter Bunny. If you say you better, be better, and be about the American people and not about the loyal fraternity of law enforcement and its unions and its entities. Because if you're not, then I will suddenly have an accident at the hands of law enforcement because I hold my phone. Or I didn't listen to his unlawful order. Or he felt some kind of way, so his feelings got hurt, so he murdered me. And then lie on reports. Yes, It is true that if you're not careful, that a individual who belonged to this heinous clan, this union, would lie on a police report about the demise of Mr. Political. It's your boy, Mr. Political, and I am out and watching the bumfookers. Thank
you. LANCESCURV.com. Bold, raw, and uncut.